Oh, hello. I'm Sketch.
And I'm Shades.
And the witch is back. And this is
Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch.
Welcome back, Shades.
Welcome back, Sketch.
What a spooktacular season that we are in the midst of right now.
Spooky.
Oh, that's our classic trademark.
Spooky.
Ooh, spooky. Guys, every time you join us in our GoCo in a different corner of the Geeking Out multiverse. And, I didn't think we are going to pick up another gig, but we have. It's around this time of year, actually, we tend to get a lot of these gigs.
Yeah, DJs are in short supply, Sketch.
Yeah,
these times of year.
Especially in 2020, the job market is not strong for DJs.
No.
So we had to put the old GoCo in reverse, the old time travel circuits into reverse. We
slammed it back to 1993.
Woo!
Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
It is the town Halloween ball.
Yeah, all the adults.
We're your guest DJs. Here's one from Joey Lawrence coming your way. My love can fix anything.
Whoa. So
we're not going to get hired back, are we?
I guess that means we're doing Blossom.
Yeah.
Today. Do we have a theme song for Blossom? No, if we're in 1993 and it's Salem, Massachusetts, and the witch is back,
we must be talking Hocus Pocus.
Oh.
It's just a little Hocus Pocus sketch.
We've done zombies, and we've done ghosts, and we've done ghouls. Now we're doing witches. And what better place to do witches than Salem, Massachusetts in 1993?
Indeed.
Probably the most infamous witches of Salem, Massachusetts.
The Sanderson sisters. Never heard of them? Not surprised.
Do we have a theme song for the actual theme of this week's episode?
I believe we do. Sketch, take it away.
I put a spell on you, and now you're gone.
Gone, so gone.
I put a spell on you, and it was strong.
So strong.
That's enough, I think.
Perfect.
I can't top Bette.
Who can?
No one can.
Who can?
If there's anything I came out of this episode with was a much higher appreciation for Bette Midler than I ever.
I am not ashamed to say I am a huge fan of Bette Midler. I think she can do no wrong. It's one of the things that Elise and I agreed on very early in our courtship.
Wow.
Bette Midler, fucking awesome.
You don't hear that in a lot of modern day.
The special relationship we have, Sketch. What can I say?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So, guys, if we are talking Hocus Pocus, then we are obviously going to spoil Hocus Pocus.
The 1993 Disney movie Hocus Pocus.
Yep. And,
that's probably it.
Gotta love these self-contained movies. At least for now, it's a self-contained movie.
Spoilers.
And then, who knows? Spoilers for Halloween and for Salem, Massachusetts, and Bette Midler.
Sketch, I do want to say at the top of this, before we get into the episode, there is an event happening on release day, Friday, October 30th, the day we were releasing this episode. There is a very special Halloween 2020 virtual event. It's being put on by the New York Preservation Society, nyrpshop.org, and it is called Searching for the Sanderson Sisters, a Hocus Pocus Halloween takeover, hosted by Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. So you can still get tickets and be part of this virtual event. Bette Midler, Catherine Najimy, and Sarah Jessica Parker are all reprising their roles. Ormy Katz is going to participate in some way, shape, or form.
Wow.
So
I'm impressed.
I've got my tickets. I hope you get your tickets. And
Look
it's
at the timing
one
of
time.
this.
Yeah, it's a one-time showing, and it will not be rebroadcast.
So
it's happening live.
Go ahead, pause the episode.
Get your tickets.
Get your tickets. I think it's fair to say we won't be spoiling the special spectacular spooktacular. I think we'll keep that a sacred ground.
Yes.
We'll let you be surprised.
Yes.
Because we have the inside track information.
We do.
We're going to be respectful.
Because, that's who we are.
Yoinkers. I love old 90s. Can't swear insults.
Goodness. Oh my goodness. What was the damn, double damn?
Shades.
Yes, Sketch.
I think your history is a little more robust than mine, as with a lot of these properties that we do. But do you want to start with your personal history with the Sanderson sisters and Hocus Pocus?
Sketch. I fucking love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is my yearly watch on Halloween event. In my youth, I was all about the horror and gore, and in not my youth, or in a later stage of my youth, however you want to look at it. This is Elie's not a fan of the horror movie, and so this is just the right flavor. I've probably watched this movie every year for the last 10 years.
Well, from what I understand, it's become quite a cult classic for Halloween.
It really has. Yeah, I would say right up through 1998, it was still Charlie Brown, the Great Pumpkin. Was probably like the Halloween cult classic, fun for the family movie. But, some other things, but like that that would show on TV. But right around like 98, 99, 2000, Hocus Pocus came back in a big way, and I didn't see it in theaters. It did have a very limited theatrical run. I think I probably saw it for the first time on like the free weekends that Disney Channel used to give you.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, get you to buy Disney Channel.
Yeah. I'm
pretty sure it's the first time I saw it. And I don't think I had ever seen it all the way through until I like bought it. And I was like, oh, I don't remember seeing this. Like I had never seen the beginning of the movie with live action Thackeray Binks.
Yeah.
So like poor Sean Murray. We'll get to that. So I like not mind blown, but it was interesting like seeing different parts of the movie that I had never seen.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have always enjoyed it. I've watched it every year for the last 10 years, and looking forward to watching it for the second time this year on Halloween.
Wow, so you're still going through with your tradition? Like this doesn't count for you?
No, this doesn't count. No, yeah. I'm very familiar with this movie, so I did a light rewatch for this episode just to go through and at specific parts to get things that I wanted to talk about. But
you gotta watch. You gotta do your official watch.
You gotta do the tradition. I'm trying to get like Army of Darkness in there as like maybe an alternative, or also watch that. I think that's like in the same level of safe Halloween-ish fun. I don't remember Army of Darkness being particularly gory.
Well, what else are you gonna do this year on Halloween?
Yeah, and nothing.
Yeah, what a bummer. Full moon Saturday.
I know.
Good foliage in the Northeast right now. COVID.
Nothing doing.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't like to bring a lot of real world into our fake world, but in my neck of the woods, things are pretty dire right now. We've had like a couple thousand new cases in the last couple days, so yeah, there will be no trick or treating.
Oh yeah. Good. It's a good year to listen to some geeking out Halloween episodes. This is our fourth one.
That's mind-boggling.
That's
Sketch.
Spooktacular is what that is.
It really is. Sketch, what's your history with Hocus Pocus?
Okay, so I like you, I did not see it in theaters. Also, like you, I probably did see it for the first time, like on one of those Disney free weekends. And then it kind of became a movie where you just you bump into it a lot. You bump into it, especially around this time of year. And, whether you're at people's houses or you're just cruising the channels, like you'd always bump into it. And it just became one of those movies that, the visuals are very iconic. So there's no mistake when
they are.
When you bump into it. And so, before we did this episode, I felt pretty confident that I knew Hocus Pocus pretty good. And then I watched it, and the whole last half hour was new to me. So
wait, so
that was great. Like I loved
the whole last half hour. So everything, you thought the movie ends with them like falling asleep in the tower.
Yeah, after they had burned the witches alive.
Mm-hmm. Guys, they cremate the witches in a kiln.
Mm-hmm.
I want to put a pin in that because I want to come back to it.
Yeah,
I love it too.
I love it. And yeah, it must have just been like,
I also had that same experience. Like one of the first times I was like, wait, there's more of this movie?
I think it was just like that felt like such a natural end that I probably at that point switched the channel.
I agree.
Or, the parent at the house I was at turned it off, or I don't know, whatever. But delightfully surprised.
Yes.
A trick and a treat, really, for me. That there was still a half hour left. It was all brand new to me, and only heightened my appreciation of the movie because I think it wraps up so nicely.
I agree. This is one of my notes. Is it's so nice to like have a movie with like a clear and succinct beginning, middle, and end because we get that so rarely now.
Yeah. Let me ask you a follow-up semi-related question. What's your history with Salem, Massachusetts? Because we both live in the Northeast.
We do. I've been to Salem a number of times, only once at Halloween, and I will never do it again. My proton pack got pretty wrecked at Halloween in Salem one year.
Oh yeah, I would have.
There just isn't an inch of space per person.
Yeah.
I like Salem. I think it's pretty beautiful. I love like small town New England.
Oh yeah.
I have seen the oldest piece of candy in America and tasted the recipe. I love Salem. I have friends that have a hat shop there, Emporium 32. Check it out if you are in Salem. It's like a kind of steampunkish hat accoutrement type store. It's very impressive. Emporium 32. Haberdashery. There you go. Yes.
That's the word. That's the word.
It is a haberdashery.
Haberdashery.
Yes. I love Salem. I don't spend a lot of time there anymore. Just as life has kind of like taken me in different avenues. What's your history with Salem?
I have a kind of a funny anecdote with Salem. Salem is in my household, in like the baby sketch household growing up with my parents. We there's an ongoing joke that my mother always tried to get us to go to Salem. I guess she really wanted to do like a day trip to Salem because it is day trippable from where I live.
It's absolutely
where I live. And she always wanted to do one, and she could never get any of us interested, like at all. So like we never went to Salem. She never got to do her trip. But then right before Doodle was born, my mother wanted to just do something with me, like one last little special something before it would be another generation attached.
You're a good son.
And so I said, you know what we should do, Mom? Let's go to Salem, Massachusetts. You always wanted to go. I'm totally down for it. Let's go to Salem, Massachusetts. And we did a day in Salem, and I was shocked because I always had this idea in my head that it was going to be like so small and so quaint.
It is monstrous.
It's huge, and I wouldn't
modern.
call it a city, but it's definitely a very large, happening, bustling town.
Yeah,
and we did go in like late September, and so like you were already getting the Halloween crowds, like the fall crowds.
Did you do House of the Seven Gables?
Yep,
and
we did that one.
What's her name's house?
From what I remember, we mainly did the House of Seven Gables, and we did we just explored and walked around ourselves, like around the wharf and around the main drag of the town.
I briefly dated someone from Salem, and we did like the Hocus Pocus tour and saw all the sites and like went in all of the houses and went to like the hanging tree, the site of the jail, the dungeon.
I would definitely go back to Salem. There's so much more to explore. I wouldn't do it in the fall again, or at least after Halloween. Holy moly, it's packed.
Halloween starts in like July there.
Yeah, it's crazy. And one of the things I found fascinating about it is obviously it's become such a, like a hot spot for Wiccan and for modern day witches to kind of congregate at. And like, there's the shops and everything that sell all the accoutrement and so on and so forth. And all I could think of is like the horrible events that happened centuries ago. And all they've done is put Salem on the map to just make sure that continues there like forever now.
Yep.
But there's a little plug for Salem. Go to Salem, Massachusetts.
Merchandising.
It was a really neat trip.
I will say whoever was in charge of municipal government in the 1960s did not care for like the quote unquote Salem
of yesteryear.
Salem of yesteryear.
I also didn't know it was such a big fishing port.
Right?
I guess I always had this romantic idea that it was just like tucked away in like woods, like the Berkshire Mountains or something. But no, right over there.
No,
right over there on the coast.
It's right in the in the middle of everything.
So there you go. This episode brought to you by Salem, Massachusetts. Yeah. Hope we do you well. Salem, Massachusetts. A lot of sponsors this episode.
Yeah. Shall we do the history of Hocus Pocus?
History of the official film. As always,
the official history.
Nothing of this.
Let me settle in here. Hocus Pocus. Origins date back to the late 1970s or early 80s. It's kind of unclear when producer David Kirshner and his daughter came up with the idea one night after their neighbor's black cat crossed their path. Kirshner imagined it was once a boy who was transformed into a cat 300 years ago by 3 witches.
You could kind of see, see the leap that he took then to turn it into this movie. Yeah, there's like a little seed there. That is very specific.
Yeah.
For those of you guys who haven't seen the movie yet.
That is like basically the whole. That is the whole plot. That's the whole A plot of the movie.
Like you would expect,
or is it? I don't know what the AB is.
Like in these stories that you hear sometimes, like coming out of Hollywood, you'd expect like, well, let's change the black dog into a black cat, and instead of 2 sisters, there's 3 sisters. Right. No, this is verbatim.
Right. This is
that's commitment.
It is. Screenwriter Mark Garris wrote the script sometime thereafter, and in 1984, the Walt Disney Company bought it with the original working title of, quote, Disney's Halloween House. It was a much darker story. All of the protagonists were 12-year-olds, and Kirshner and Garris approached Steven Spielberg at Amblin Entertainment to produce and to direct, even though Disney owned the rights to the movie. So they had this like dark horror tale for Disney. I'm guessing like the Sanderson sister cottage featured more heavily if it was called Halloween House. I can think of. Right. And they wanted Spielberg to direct and Amblin to produce it. Spielberg saw Disney as a competitor in the family market and refused to co-produce with his quote unquote rival. Various rewrites took place over the next decade. And the film became more comedic. 2 of the protagonists were aged up into teenagers, and production started and stalled several times until Bette Midler expressed interest in the film after reading the script. It immediately went forward into production. Quote, Hocus Pocus was the most fun I'd had in my career up until that point, unquote, Bette Midler. Sketch, I don't know if you've seen any Bette Midler footage from some of the concerts that she does. Bette Midler also started her career as a singer, transitioned into film. I don't know if you've seen any of her concert footage. She does an entire act of her show as Winifred Sanderson. Full costume, the fake teeth, the wig, the outfit, everything. The whole set transforms. Two of her backup singers look like Mary and Sarah.
I did see that even recently in an interview, she said it's her favorite character she's ever played. I could easily see that.
I can too. I think this made her a household name in terms of like relatability in like in like the film
and
industry.
I'll say I don't think I've ever seen her in anything else. Bette Midler is not really in my realm of movies that I partake in, or other media that I partake in. So this is, I'm going to go ahead and say it, hands down, the best Bette Midler
your favorite
I've
Bette
ever
Midler
seen.
movie. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
Ever that I have ever.
I'm gonna
seen.
give you some suggestions later in the episode. Where are we here? Where are we? There we go. Principal photography began in October of 1992. Actually, it began on 10/12/92 and wrapped on 2/10/93. Yeah.
That's really confusing if you're listening to this in Europe.
Yeah. Seriously. It was primarily shot on sound stages in Burbank, California. However, all the daytime shots of Salem, the elementary school, Allison's house, the burial hill in Marblehead, where Max is attacked by Ice and Jay.
Ice.
Jay and Ice.
What an idiot.
I know, right? And the old town hall in Salem for the big dance number where we are now were all shot in Massachusetts over a 2-week period.
You know, when I was watching it, that was one of my notes. I was like, I actually think some of this was actually filmed in Salem. This is too authentic looking. It would have been dolled up more if it was made to look like Salem. This is actually Salem, isn't it?
Yeah. I love that they actually shot all of those scenes in California and in Salem and didn't just do the whole thing in like some neighborhood.
Remember when Disney used to do that?
Yeah. Remember when movies used to go to the places.
I can't believe that. I mean, talk about yesteryear. Someone actually thought that they didn't want Disney to become their rival in family entertainment. I can't even imagine that now. Having that kind of ego, but I guess in the 80s,
that's Steven Spielberg.
80s, that's 80s Spielberg versus 80s Disney, I guess.
Sketch, I'm gonna throw something else at you. Can you believe that Hocus Pocus on its like shoestring budget went and shot in Salem, Massachusetts, but Black Panther, none of Black Panther was shot in Africa?
That's the one I didn't want to bring it up, but it's what I was thinking of. Oh, that's
you thought it, right? You thought it, right? Okay, because I immediately thought that when I read this, it was like, son of a bitch, come on. And that's not taking anything away from Black Panther. That is a knock at Disney and Marvel. Like the movie is fucking fantastic. That's a knock at the production team. Okay. Sketch, my favorite part of the episode here. How much do you think this movie cost?
In 90s dollars, huh? In 90s, what was big in Pogs? Pogs and
yes, we can do the transaction in Pogs.
Szechuan sauces and other 90s. Remember Gak?
No, 93 was Aladdin.
Right.
That was Aladdin.
Right.
Mulan came out later, I believe. Gak, yes. I believe I have a container of Gak somewhere. I'm afraid to open it.
Gak anymore.
You know what I do have? I have a can of like quote unquote turtle ooze and a quote unquote can of ectoplasm. But I am positive if I were to open up either of those, it's just crust.
Oh, you're being kind. I thought at this point they're probably carcinogens. At this point, they just come out and they just eat you away. Mom, I'm gonna be a Ninja Turtle was the last word Billy ever said.
Oh, yikes.
Okay. In modern Pogs currency, I would say but you already gave me a hint. It was a smaller budget.
It was.
That would mean something to me if I had any realm of understanding of how these big budget things work. I will say $95 million.
I'll give you a second guess. Much lower.
$63 million.
Both good guesses. Cost $28 million. It's crazy,
That's
right?
it?
That's it. But when you, I can't imagine that covering like the cost of camera.
Because I'm thinking of like other,
or like flying the crew from Burbank
I'm
to
just thinking
Salem.
of Bet alone.
Right?
Is it 20 what?
That is
20?
shocking. $28
All right,
million.
So I'll round up to 30, and that still knocks my socks off. Because we're
Right.
not talking the age of low budget Hollywood. We're now in Jurassic Park timeline.
Right.
Wow,
Exactly.
that is crazy to me. Less than $30 million budget. Okay.
But I'm also thinking like, wasn't Beetlejuice also something like ridiculously small?
And yeah,
like shockingly
like,
small.
Halloweeny, spooky horror type things do typically have smaller budgets. And when you look at the effects, there isn't a tremendous amount of effects, which I'm going to talk about later.
There are like one or two actual effects in this movie. They this was like such a scrappy movie.
It's a movie.
It really is. Yeah. It really is. You would have featured on that show that you often talk about.
It probably
Movie
did.
Magic.
It probably did.
You know, you're right. Sketch, how much? So I couldn't find its actual theatrical release box office gross. I could only find what it eventually made with TV and syndication and home video release.
So I got to calculate all that too, and then convert to POG.
I couldn't find its actual theatrical run. I think so you said 28. We came up with was 63 million was your guess for how much it cost to make. I think the POG conversion is 5 sleeves and an OJ commemorative chase slammer.
The OJ slammer.
The OJ slammer. If you don't know what a slammer is or what that OJ Simpson reference is, Google it.
Yeah.
Pogs made a commemorative OJ Chase slammer. Got it. That's right.
This episode is really aging us tremendously.
Brought to you by Pogs. Pogs, more fun than you can throw a milk bottle cap at.
Haberdasheries and Pogs and
Sketch, how much do you think it made?
Now, I believe it wasn't a financial success at the beginning.
It was not a financial success.
Which I also I have to attribute at least a little bit of that to that it came out in July, didn't it? That's an odd time to release a Halloween movie.
Interestingly, like that's when spooky movies tend to come out. Ghostbusters came out in like June-ish, July. Beetlejuice came out in the summer because they try and do like blockbuster.
This is not a blockbuster. This
not a blockbuster. This would have been.
I say that as a compliment.
Right. This was just bad strategy on Disney's part. If they had released this at Halloween, it probably would have
especially because it is geared so heavily towards kids, and kids like
small children.
You got a short span of attention, and so you do Halloween at Halloween,
right?
Anywho, so it was made with 28. I originally guessed 63 is what it was made with everything in total. I will go a gentleman's $68 million.
You are so kind, Sketch. It eventually made $44 million.
I feel like everyone talks about this movie.
It's estimated that this movie cost Disney a $16.4 million loss until it gained cult status.
Wow. Yeah, I'm shocked.
It is the John Connor of the 90s. Or John Carter.
I mean, if everyone knows of it like I knew of it, I mean, I never spent a dime on this movie. I always just saw it on free Disney weekends or at other people's. Like, I've never owned it. I mean, I watched it now because it's on Disney Plus. But that We don't own any
Right.
anymore. It's all just pay to watch. So
I do own a copy of this, and I own it on Amazon. So
There you
you're
go.
welcome, Disney.
helping to recover.
Trying to help you make some of that.
That's a shame. This movie deserves to be more successful than that, but I really think it is successful
It
in the
does.
hearts of its fans.
That's okay, Sketch, because it has been announced that there will be a Disney Plus movie sequel with the entirety
Good.
of
Don't
the
do a
original
remake.
cast returning. No. They're bringing
Good.
everyone back.
Everyone.
I believe everyone has signed on.
Binks.
Ormy Cats. Oh, it's interesting whether Sean Murray will reprise his role as like an older dead Thackeray Binks. I should say the principal, like Ormy Cats, Allison, Vanessa,
Your main kids, your Max, your Allison, your Danny,
Vanessa Shaw, and Tora Birch. So Max, Allison, and Danny.
They're all adults now.
I think Ormy Cats is sound. They are all adults. Tora Birch, Danny is on The Walking Dead. Gamma on The Walking Dead. Did you make it to Gamma? I didn't make it to Gamma, but I looked up the character. I think she's part of Negan's crew, maybe. I don't know, or like one of the people that pretend that they're walkers.
Oh yeah, that maybe she's part of that because I did not see that.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. I think that's the crew that she's part of.
They don't sound good.
Yeah,
that's what happens. The Sanderson curse.
Should we do the all important internet scores? Okay, you ready for this?
I don't know if I am, now that you ask it that way.
IMDb gives this movie a 6.9.
Wow.
Rotten Tomatoes. This may be the biggest over under we've ever done for Rotten Tomatoes. We gotta start checking that
because you've said that a couple times now. So we really got to start comparing
this. This one feels the biggest.
Ooh, that's the soundbite. That's the soundbite of the episode. This one feels the biggest.
The biggest. This one feels. Okay, so Rotten Tomatoes critic score, even a 37%.
Like what? Do you not count whimsy? Rotten Tomatoes, Jesus,
right? Fan score 71%. That's like a 7.1 to IMDb.
Yeah. I'm still surprised that fan score is that low. I bet Google reviewers are gonna come in here.
92% of Google reviewers love this movie. I gave it a 96%. I fucking love this movie. I'm 4% rant.
Yeah, I did the math. I did it.
Sketch.
I gave this movie it's a score with an asterisk. Okay. I give this movie a 93. But
okay.
You got to watch it around Halloween. I don't think I would give it a high score like in February or something. But oh my gosh, does it capture the magic of Halloween?
That's so interesting. I so agree with you because I originally gave it a 93. That was my exact score. And then I bumped it up because I said to myself, this movie perfectly encapsulates the feeling of being like a kid or like a kid at heart at Halloween. And like, particularly like when the school lets out for like Halloween weekend or like Halloween night, and like they perfectly captured, like without doing anything, but they perfectly captured like being a school-age kid in New England at Halloween.
Yeah.
And like kudos to them for shooting in Salem.
It would be now that you say that, interesting to know in some alternate universe how we would score it if we didn't both grow up in New England.
I thought about that.
Celebrating Halloween, because 93, what was that? That was third grade for us. So that is, correct. I mean, that's Hocus Pocus age. Like that's prime Hocus Pocus age.
It's perfect. And I mean, it is like fall in New England when they're shooting.
No, everything matches up perfectly. Yeah.
Spot on. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad our scores kind of bump the numbers a bit, because those are,
Yeah.
with the exception of Google, because Google's always doing a
Right.
good job. Good on you, Google. Those are much lower than I would have considered.
And I'm just I'm shocked at that critic score, because like, what else did they want? Like, this movie, you know, we're dangerously close to raving here, but I'll just, from my notes, this movie opens on kidnapping and premeditated child murder.
Yeah, it does.
Like, what? This movie is like perfectly terrifying. It is like, there is real jeopardy, and it is 100% appropriate to watch with your small children. It's got humor for adults. It checks all the boxes for like a holiday movie to put on, and everybody has a good time.
I think
watching
the
it.
issue that you're touching upon here is that there are no professional movie critics that have made a career of it who also happen to be children,
or
because
enjoy
those
movies.
damn child labor laws. This is us coming down on the child labor laws. Let children support their families.
But I mean, so Sketch, have you ever seen any of like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies or Friday
Goodness,
the 13th
no. I'm
movies?
with Elise on this. I'm not into the horror and the gore.
Okay, so the first two Nightmare on Elm Street movies and the first two usually the first two, and they're pretty like terrifying slasher fix. And then as you get into like 3 and 4 and 5, they get like really campy and cartoony. And like kind of all of everything's like, it's like so outlandishly gory that it's more funny for the absurdity than any sense of jeopardy or terror. And like, those are movies with like PG-13 and R ratings. This is a G-rated movie for the most part, and it opens on child murder. In the first 10 minutes of the movie, there is a dead child slumped over in a chair.
I was surprised she was actually dead
on screen.
Yeah.
Right?
I had a memory of her not being dead, and that must have just been wishful thinking.
100% soul, life force sucked out of her.
Corpse.
Stone cold.
Yeah, she's dead.
And then the Sanderson sisters are hanged by the neck.
And that is a scene that has seared in my mind from my earliest of watching, is those feet dangling.
From the legs, the feet dangling. Yes.
Yeah. Hanging is that's a tough one.
And like, the worst thing you can say about the execution of all of that is it was hamstrung by the limitations of the budget and the technology at the time. Like, if they had $100 million budget, can you imagine what that would have looked like?
Yeah, but I'm not upset at all with how it ended up looking.
I'm not either, because I think they did it perfectly for the kind of movie that this turned out to be.
Curmudgeons. Come on,
right?
IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. You're gonna make our shit list like Metacritic. Remember Metacritic? We fucking buried Metacritic. We talk about a stone cold corpse. You guys ever hear of Metacritic anymore? Probably not.
Nope. That's because of Shades and Sketch.
Mainly
buried
Shades.
It.
Mainly Shades.
Pile drove it.
Yeah.
Into the dirt.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess if we're if we're already starting to defend this movie, I guess
that brings us to raves. I got raves for days for this movie, Sketch.
Well, then why don't you start?
All right.
Well, I think you have a lot, so why don't you start us off with raves?
Sure. First rave, the cast. All hail Queen Bette.
Yeah.
But like, everyone is fantastic.
Yeah.
Sarah Michelle Gellar is fucking crazy.
You know, I have been doing that in my head the entire episode.
Oh, I said Sarah Michelle Gellar instead of Sarah Jessica Parker.
The thing is...
Oh, man. Okay. I didn't even realize they did it.
Same pretty much era of 3 named Sarahs.
Yes. Sarah Jessica Parker is fucking insane. In this
you don't
movie.
know how many times I've
done
wanted
that?
to say that this episode, and
I did it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm supposed to be a professional, guys, but
Sarah,
you know who? Yes.
Jessica Parker, aka Sex in the City. Wasn't she married to Matthew Broderick?
She was.
She
possibly
still
is. I don't know if they are still married.
I never saw Sex in the City.
I didn't either. I don't think we were the demographic.
This might be another one where I say I don't think I have any other experience with Sarah Jessica Parker's work. So I'll go out on a limb and say this is the best performance of Sarah Jessica Parker sketch I've ever seen.
Yes, Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew Broderick are still married since 1997.
Nice.
Hollywood goals.
Yeah.
Catherine, Kathy Najimy,
Mhm.
also like she's like barking.
Yeah.
She's riding vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
She's bringing it.
She's showing up to work.
She is showing up to work. Like the cast of this movie
enough,
and the kids too.
I've
like
seen
all fantastic.
others. I've seen others of Kathy's work.
Really?
Wasn't she in Sister Act?
I thought so, but that like I wasn't positive on that.
I think she was in Sister Act.
Yeah, she was in Sister Act. You're absolutely right.
So look at that. Out of the 3 witches, that's the one I have the most.
She was the voice of Peggy on King of the Hill. Peggy Hill.
No, she was really.
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow, I had the most background knowledge for Mary.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either.
But yeah, you were absolutely right. She was in both Sister Acts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, she's in everything.
Yeah. No, they all brought it. They all delivered.
And I will just add Sean Murray, live action Thackeray Thackeray Binks. Say that 5 times fast.
Awesome.
He brings the intensity in that opening sequence. Like,
oh, sure.
He is fantastic for the little bit of time that he's on screen. And I just feel terrible that they ADR'd his voice with Jason Marsden.
Well, I didn't know that. So.
And the ADR was fantastic.
Yeah, the ADR was great. What's his name? Sean? Sean was great.
Sean Murray. For those of you in the know, Sean Murray, plays Tim McGee on NCIS for like the last 100 years, whatever season they're on now.
Wow.
I don't know if he was an original, but he's like the only original left besides Mark. I think he showed up in season 2, maybe pseudo original.
Oh my gosh! Did you
They're
say
on like their
NCIS?
10th cast?
So we're talking haberdasheries, pogs, and now like
NCIS.
NCIS.
I don't know what that last bit was.
Children these days. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna if I can may I piggyback?
Yes, please.
May I witch hop, if you will? The witches themselves, the main 3, are without a doubt, they elevate this movie to a whole other level. And multiple times in my notes, I wrote down Bette Midler is crushing it because she was the blinding light on the screen. I mean, she was your focal point. But I spent such careful time watching the other 2, like when they weren't the focus. They are 100% in character all the time.
Oh, so
physically.
Yes, when like and I say Sarah Jessica Parker is like fucking insane because she's like hanging off of cemetery gates. She's like, it's spinning dervish in the background, just in like the joy of like imagining cannibalizing children.
Now I don't know words so good, but is lithe a word? Is like,
yes,
like almost like. She reminds me of the word lithe, if that's a word.
L-Y-T-H, lithe, is that what you're thinking?
I think it's L-I-T-H-E.
Well, there's yeah, L-I.
Where she's just like kind of spindly but graceful.
Yes, there you go.
100%. like that was it. And
good on you.
Yeah, I was just like
some middle school vocabulary there.
Is it really? Wow, I'm up in my game, I guess.
Well, I mean, like vocab, It's been a while since we've done vocab.
The other thing about them, and I did watch a like a little behind the scenes vignette because I was interested in Hocus Pocus after this, and I was like, ooh, I want to, what went into this? What exactly happened here? And I don't remember if they made it very clear in the movie or not, but each of the 3 sisters has a different father. So they all have the same mother,
Interesting. Yes.
Who is like who was like a very powerful
like
witch.
the baddest witch of them all.
Yeah. And Bette Midler's father was a very powerful warlock, which makes her the the most powerful of the three sisters. Sarah's father was the village idiot, which you got it. Good job. And then, don't think about this one too hard, but Mary's father was a bloodhound, which is why she like woofs and she sniffs out the children and everything.
God, that's amazing.
And like it all fits. It all like
that's perfect.
And they all like they deliver those. They like even if that's not a main part of the movie, they deliver all of those.
Absolutely delivered on all of that.
Yeah.
Even if it's not made clear, like like in the acting world, like what's this character's secret?
Yeah.
What's that nobody else knows? Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Perfect. They all captured that wonderfully. Strong agree.
Yeah, I think that was the director talking about that. So it might not have been in the final cut of the movie, but as soon as they said it, like things snapped into place for me. I'm like, oh, I get the barking. Like the barking used to just be kind of like, okay, that's her weird.
Okay, it's a choice.
Yeah, this thing. She's part dog. That's why she can smell, and she's. Oh, okay, I get it.
That makes so much sense.
Yep.
Sarah's the village idiot. That's amazing.
Another thing that Bette Midler said in that behind the scenes is that what she liked about this character and about this trio of characters was that she thought they had a real opportunity to do a full female version of the Three Stooges. And I was like,
wow. Yeah.
Success, Bet. Success. Yep. Because you're so physical with your actions.
Really are.
And you're downright slapstick with each other. And you're all selling it. You're all selling either the delivery or the getting it.
That's so interesting. I 100% agree. And it never feels over the top.
No. It never feels
somehow
like Three
fits.
Stooges, but it feels like, like almost what you expect, at least in these terms of like 2020 witches. And like these are like, they are real life versions of like those classic witches that we grew up with stories of.
Yes. 100%.
They're not like, and they're dark and they're menacing, but they also have this whimsy to them.
Sarah is like downright sadistic.
Sarah is very
she is by far the most like terrifying of them all.
And she's the one that lures all the children.
Yes.
With her voice. And she calls them with her little song, which I guess could have been the theme of the episode.
Sure. Could have.
How do you can't upstage Bette. And the fact that all three of them like have such a clear role in their master ploy of stealing all the children's life force or whatever you call it. What do you think they're sucking out of the kids? Because
life force?
Yeah, because Tim Hoshi and I were
vitality.
We were actually having a conversation about this a couple days ago because I told him we were doing Hocus Pocus for the pod, and he has strong opinions on Hocus Pocus.
Oh, okay.
Very much in favor of the Hocus Pocus. But we did talk about like, well, what are they sucking out of the kids? What exactly are they stealing? And yeah, I think we kind of came to the like they're stealing the reason essence. They want kids and not adults is because like kids have a lot of potential life ahead of them.
Right.
And they're like stealing. They're like the Weeping Angels in Doctor Who, where they're feeding off of the life of these children. And that's dark stuff.
This movie is deliciously dark, as you would say.
Fits so nicely with just like the lore of witches too, and like how gruesome like fairy tales used to be, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I loved it. I really loved it.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I believe it is your rave.
I mean, I kind of took over yours, but I'll keep going. Okay, well, this kind of has to do with what I just said, and I just wrote down that this is some damn good storytelling because. You have so many elements here in this witch's cauldron of a movie. You have like the classic witch lore of like a pseudo Salem historical lore, right? And then you have the whole story of Max moving from California to Salem and trying to fit in here and find new love and Hocus Pocus and all of that. You have the story of the witches themselves and what they do and how they operate and how each of them has a trait. And it all just flows together really well.
It really does. This is a movie that doesn't feel like there's an A, a B, a C, a D plot.
No.
It feels like one thing that's with, one story that's being told, but there are so many different stories that are unfolding. There's the story of the parents.
Mhm.
There's the story of like the school teacher.
Danny has a big story.
Danny has her own arc that she goes through.
Yep.
There's like the young budding love. There's like the supernatural element. There's like this fucking the Marshalls make an appearance.
Yeah,
Penny
they
Marshall
do.
and Gary Marshall play husband and wife in this. Like they have their own like weird thing going on. Like
And there's no fat. There's no fat in this movie that you'd cut away.
There isn't. And
It's
like
all
even when
lean
there
and
are
it's good, all relevant.
it is. And it's light, but it's also dark.
Mhm. You could call it some chiaroscuro.
Yes.
Mm,
Yeah.
The Italian Renaissance.
I only know
technique.
that from Strong Bad, the Trogdor the Burninator
Oh,
episode.
there you go.
I looked it
Chiaroscuro
up after.
is the the drawing technique of using lights and
I
darks to
added
make form.
some chiaroscuro shading.
So there you go. We use it a lot in Egyptology. But yeah, and I like the fact that they filmed in Salem, and the events of the actual witch trials of Salem, like, spoiler alerts for the actual witch trials of Salem, but those people who were murdered, not actual witches.
No.
Okay, just
Gruesomely.
gonna go ahead and say that. But I'm happy that this movie like didn't even address that. Didn't even
Right.
let's not even talk
just
about
fun.
the real witch trials at all.
It's just fun.
Let's just deposit a world in which these are the witches that Salem is
Right.
famous for. And by the way, they were hung and gruesomely murdered by a mob, and rightfully so, because they had proof
murdered
that
children.
murdered children, and another
Yes.
child was missing. So and they were unapologetic about it. I mean,
we're just three spinster sisters who are like crocheting and murdering children.
So so good on those Salem town folk in this movie for killing those witches.
Like I did think about that as I was watching it, to be like, oh, this is typical Disney. Like Disney is guilty of whitewashing and like sanitizing history, but like, so many innocent people to their deaths under the guise of law and order and religiosity. But like the one that sticks out in my mind, and there are others, and the only man who was put to death for witchcraft was Giles Corey. Do you know the story of Giles Corey?
I know there were a couple of men put to death. It was more women, but
they were arrested, but only one was actually executed.
Well, are you talking about the one that was crushed to death?
Yes, Giles Corey, who was pressed to death.
Yeah.
He was put between two doors, and they just kept putting boulders on him until they had crushed his body.
And they gave him the opportunity to confess, and he just would keep saying more weight. I mean, the last thing he said was more
weight.
Until it eventually crushed him. Yeah. I was under the impression, because I did a deep dive into the Salem witch trials 2 years ago when I listened to a very in-depth podcast on it.
Well, I hope I'm right in this instance, only because I used to have to teach this. So I hope I wasn't putting misinformation.
I'll look it up, but I remember that guy was like the baller of
that's fucking badass.
Yeah.
More weight.
Yeah. Because it really was. It's something that we're still dealing with today, like a class struggle between those in power and those without. And you know what? That's enough real world in our fake world.
It is. But I did think of that watching this, like, oh, you could have Disney, you could have actually done something meaningful here.
I was watching this with my 2020 vision. Oh, I didn't even mean to say it that way. Oh, wow. In this case, 2020 vision, not a good thing.
Not a good thing.
I was watching it with my 2020 vision, waiting for that kind of lesson to come out of like, You know, like, look at how horrible these things were. And instead, we're just like, no, we're making a fantasy version of this.
Right.
We're doing
that was just as gruesome in its own way.
Yeah. And we're doing like almost like a reversal where like you could go in the past and tell a story and then it diverts into a future or a reality that's so different from your own. We're going to do a present day, but when we go in the past, we're going to divert from what actually happened in the past.
Right.
And make our own like fantasy version of it. I liked it. And they were horrible.
They were.
And they deserved it.
Agreed.
And I did. It was almost a big question because on my first watch, I was like, you know, what's his name? Binks's friend comes and is like, I saw Emily going into the woods with blah, 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 blah. Right, and they look off into the distance. There's just a billowing smokestack of smoke, like, of obviously
like burning flesh.
Yeah, obviously nefarious smoke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and
they were
like,
baking some children into pies.
They're conjuring again. And I was like, you guys fucking know they do this and we still haven't brought them to justice. But then I was like, you know what? Maybe this is the first time they've been caught red-handed with a dead child. You know, like maybe it's all been hearsay and the town in this fantasy world is waiting for
there is a
evidence.
Slumped over dead.
Emily's dead.
Child sitting in a chair inside of the door.
Yeah. No. She's
no
dead,
hiding
dead.
that.
She's a cold hard corpse. And the spell worked because the sisters start off old.
Yes.
And aged. And they suck the life force out of her, and they're the witches that we all know from this movie at this point. Yeah. So
know and love, I'll say it.
There's no coming back for Emily.
No.
And I was almost expecting at the end, because I'd never seen the end, for there to be like a little like, oh, Binks wakes up in his bed and he still has time to save Emily. And no, Emily's dead. Nope. She's a ghost at the end. And she's like, I've been waiting for 300 years for you, you son of a bitch. And then they go off into the, you know, the afterlife together. And that was great. Like they stuck the landing on that.
Yeah. Typical Disney.
Yeah,
everything works out in the end.
Somewhat typical Disney. Yeah.
I want to put a rave in here that started as a rant. That there's a story here.
Okay.
The kiln scene.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sketch, I know you've come across a few ancient kilns in Egyptology over the years.
Yeah.
What is your take on that kiln?
Okay, when I first saw it, I thought to myself, I thought to myself a couple of things in that scene. I first thought, okay, I wasn't in high school in the 90s. Maybe it was okay for high school students to be sculpting nudes. I didn't think that would fly these days, but you know what? Who am I? Who am I to judge?
Sure.
And then the second thing was, I thought, God damn, that's a big kiln for just a high school.
Big kiln for a high school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But a real kiln, right? Like you didn't think
no, you get kilns that large. And, you know, like I've seen them in colleges where you have just a massive amount of ceramics.
Right. I always called bullshit on this scene until I worked for a time in Webster, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to
and
Webster.
They had a smaller version. It didn't have like a door on the front. It didn't like look like, but it had like a drop down door that like sealed the whole thing in.
Yeah.
But it was a smaller version, but the inside of it and everything looked almost exactly like that kiln. And I only ever like had seen in you know, smaller kilns,
like a drum kiln,
a drum kiln. Thank you. That's all I had ever seen. I called bullshit on this. I was like, this is, I don't know what this is. This is nonsense. This is just a setup. Then I saw one and I was like, okay, you guys did your homework. You did your research. I love the construction and setup of that whole scene in the high school and the trap that they set for them. I think it is so wonderfully executed. You get like the Dutch angles, the low Dutch angles that you like from early like suspense horror, like very Hitchcock, very Shining. And I like Ormy Katz sells that scene so well. At times, like the acting is so like rigid and mechanical, but like just when you listen to his voice over the loudspeaker at time, like, oh, like that is actually Ormy Katz and he's into this and he's killing it.
Yeah,
that whole scene is like
tormenting
perfect.
them in that scene. I mean, I agree. That whole scene is perfect. There's nothing ill I will say of it. I love that it starts with, you know, Allison kind of gets like tossed into like an old oven, like in an alley when they're, and she's like, oh, bright idea, light bulb moment.
Right.
And they bring them to high school. I don't know where it's going, you know, as the viewer, I'm like, what, how was that an idea? And then when they show up at the kiln, I'm like, oh, this is the classic story of, you know, like throwing the witch in the oven to destroy her, retold as a modern thing. I love that it's the French tape in there that, and then when they recoalesce or whatever you want to call it, she comes out speaking French. She's even the tape. I mean, it was all smart. The tape was giving them French phrases for like, where is my book? Give me my book. And at this point in the story, they need their book. They're looking for, so she comes out saying, oh, where is my book? And then she says it in French, which I can't do. The whole thing was fantastic. The only thing I'll call bullshit on is
how quickly that kiln fired up.
Well, yes, and a public high school having the art funding to have a room size kiln.
I saw that and just said, like, whoa, this is not safe. This is not okay.
And I will say that
how many children have roasted in that kiln?
Yeah, I mean, conservatively, I mean, it's my guess is if you're living in Salem, it's kind of like living on the Hellmouth at Buffy, that like people are just always disappearing, and Salem people are like, it's just Salem.
Right.
I will say, you know, a kiln like that wouldn't have an open flame, but I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt that the flames that they were watching were the sisters combusting.
Yeah.
And I just hope all the students who had pieces in there, you know, those pieces survived. It's a terrible fate when something you work so hard on breaks in the kiln. So
it happens.
Fingers
but it was
crossed.
for a good cause.
If only it stuck.
I know, right?
Yeah. Damn that curse. Or I guess for them it was a protection spell. Curse for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, good looking out for that one.
Your rave.
Okay, we talk about this all the time, so this isn't going to surprise anybody. So I'll really zero it in. I'll put the laser sight on a specific aspect. But once again, the practical effects in a gosh darn movie like this, the house was amazing, and it makes sense if it used to have like a larger role. You know, that whole thing was great,
fucking perfect.
I wish they used it more. Yeah. The costuming was fantastic for the witches, but the number one area where I was literally blown away every time it happened was in flight. When those three were suspended and in flight, they looked, that's the gold standard of how I want witches to look in my media.
Sarah Jessica Parker is like doing a like balance beam routine on that fucking broom. And like I don't know much about Sarah Jessica Parker, but I don't think that she was like an Olympic gymnast. Like,
no, I don't think she was either, but she did say in that back, I swear this thing was only like 10 minutes long, and I don't know why I'm talking about this behind the scenes so much, but she like fell in love with that harness, and she would spend time between,
I've seen that as well scenes. Somewhere.
Like she would, one of the stories that she would smuggle a newspaper in the folds of her robe, and in between takes, she would just take it out and sit there suspended reading the day's paper.
That's amazing.
She loved it. But I'm going to tie together the actresses, the harness riggings, and then the costumes, because the way the costumes flowed as the wind was, and even when it wasn't windy out, they always had wind hitting them, so everything was flowing around, and it looked really chaotic, but it also looked really graceful. And like, okay, that's a witch to me. Chaos and grace, that's a witch, and they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it.
The practical effects for a budget, for a movie with a budget of this size, I mean, it's right up there. The only thing that I can compare it to that's happening at the same time is Steven Spielberg's Hook. I think the flying in this is on par with that, and Hook had a much bigger budget.
I'd love to do Hook someday too.
I would also love to do. It's one of my favorite movies. I'll come out and say that.
I wonder if I ever saw the end of that one. Well, time will tell.
I won't spoil it for you
when we do that episode.
Yeah, but I agree. I think the practical effects. When Winifred is like zapping Max in the house, and he's like flying across the house and like pulls him up a wall.
Yeah, he was harnessed in. He was doing that.
Yeah, like all of the I think most of the actors probably wound up doing a lot of their own stunts because they were A, very low stakes stunts in some cases, or B, I guess they were just having such a fucking fun time doing it. They wanted to do their own stunts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how they would have swapped out a body double or a stunt person with those close-ups that they're doing.
Yeah.
Like that's very much Bette Midler, like on the broom with Ormy Katz.
Yep.
Or Ormy Katz's stunt double at the end of the movie.
Yeah, maybe that was a little precarious.
That was a little precarious. And you don't see his face, but you see hers.
Yeah.
Katie Najimy is riding around on that vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah, and they just, the visual of them was so perfect.
It's one of those things like you often hear of the Chris Reeves Superman movies, like it really made you believe that a man could fly. Total suspense of my disbelief that they are actually flying around on brooms.
Absolutely.
It was done so well.
Yeah. Like I say, gold standard. That is how all witches should be held up against this depiction.
You know, it makes me, I think we've embarked in an era with like nostalgia that when people return to projects now, they really go back and say like, all right, if we're going to do this, we have to do it the way it was done at the time for continuity. I think we've gotten across that like, well, we can just, borrow on it and it'll, people will get it. Like we've left that, like people will get it, like idea behind that. When people do go back to the properties, they like try and recreate the feel of when these things were made and make it fit in that vein. So I'm hopeful for the sequel.
Oh God, I hope.
I'm really excited for this thing on Friday.
That into a harness again.
I'm sure she's game.
I bet she's game.
I'm really excited for this thing on Friday today. For the in search of the Sanderson sisters, because I just want to see how they get back into character.
Yeah.
After 17
almost
years?
20 years. Yeah.
Almost 17 years.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be the test.
Yeah. I'll be anxious.
How easily they come back, because Bette Midler never really left it. She's been living in that for a long time. But the other two, Katie Najimy and Sarah Jessica Parker. Yeah. I almost did it again. I almost did it again. Said the other one. We'll see how they get back into character. I have I could rave for days on this. Do you have any other raves?
I have one last one that was it's super minor. We don't need to talk about it long, but just because I had never seen the end of the movie, when Max downs the potion so that they can't give it to Danny, I was like, that's a fucking baller move.
It is.
Good on you, Max. I was not expecting that. And I was like, that's a hero moment. And it felt good. It felt good. It felt better than all of the ways they had defeated the witches up until that point.
Yeah.
Because that was more of a sacrifice and less of an act of against somebody. So
it's the thing that Thackeray couldn't do for Emily.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say is Doug Jones as Billy Butcherson.
Billy. Yes.
Get you with my side.
Yeah, no, he's a creature actor, right?
Do you remember the day that we had a snow day in college and we just watched Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy?
Yeah.
For hours.
I do.
Instead of going back to sleep.
Yeah.
It was like one of the best uses of a day ever.
Nuts, because colleges in the Northeast do not cancel for snow. So you can imagine how much
snow. No. College wasn't canceled. Was canceled. And so we didn't have class because we were supposed to be teaching, but that got canceled.
No, there you go.
Everybody else had class, but we just watched Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy for hours. I don't think I had seen it. Until then.
It's possible. It was also contemporary at the time, so it makes sense.
Anyway,
Billy.
That would be a good
Halloween one.
A good Halloween.
Yeah. All right. So, well, I mean,
sorry,
we could rave for days.
Doug Jones is a creature actor. Yes. Many people now probably know him from Star Trek Discovery. He plays Saru. But he's just like such a graceful.
Is that the big guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
But he's like doing pirouettes and his head's falling off, and he is gracefully clumsy because he's playing a zombie. But like Doug Jones is like, he's like a national treasure.
He
can bring anything to life. He played Abe Sapien. He was the actor in the suit in the first 2 Hellboy movies.
Oh, okay.
Not his voice in the first one, his voice in the second one. I think he was the creature inside Shape of Water.
Okay.
Which was basically the Abe Sapien suit. Like he's just like he's a great creature actor.
He knows how to move like a non-human.
He does know how to move like a non-human.
Yeah.
Such an interesting skill. I thought he killed it as Billy.
Well, Billy and the witches as the supernatural elements to the movie really brought with them a movement that really felt more like a stage. Yeah. You know, like they were like stage acting, and that fit so well because it made them like otherworldly to our characters who were very realistic and very just
tubular, dude.
Yeah. Do you remember in the 90s
the BMX light BMX bike race through the cemetery?
Do you remember in the 90s when you would just rush home from school and clutch a pillow to your chest and kiss it, whispering the name of the girl you liked?
No. Do you?
No, of course. No, that's silly. That's no way. This movie, big rant. They didn't get that right.
I remember rushing home to turn on Disney's Gargoyles.
Oh yeah.
And the Batman the animated series.
Yeah. And then clutching your pillow and going,
no.
Oh, pudding.
Mr. J.
This is not the Harley Quinn episode. Well. We've had so many.
We have.
All right, we could rave for days.
We could rave for days.
But we have a couple rants. They're not meaty.
I have some serious rants here.
Okay, but they're only worth what, 4%?
4%. There's some small but serious rants.
Yep. All right, give me one.
You actually fixed one of my rants, I think. So I'll start with the sisters' powers.
That's what I do.
Are they witches? Are they Sith Lords? Are they mutants? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like Winifred's shooting laser balls and like force lightning. Yep. Max.
Sarah has like the charm speak.
Charm speak.
Yeah.
And Mary is like barking at people and a bloodhound. But you fixed that. You fixed that rant.
Yeah.
So that was my first one. But I will say like their powers are a little inconsistent. They, it feels a little like South Park. Their powers are to have many, many powers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of like the plot drives what they can do rather than like establishing what they can do.
And also I would say a juxtaposition to that is they do have one very specific and very consistent weakness in that they cannot step foot on hallowed ground, aka cemetery, and they stick with that.
They do
all the way through.
Yep, that is eventually Winifred's downfall.
Yeah, and that is so I agree. Their powers are all like, oh, okay, that's a new one. Oh, right. Okay, she can do that too. But at least they had that consistency to ground.
And that felt kind of lazy that they had established that so well. They cannot set foot on hallowed ground, and salt as well.
Mm-hmm.
They established that earlier, and they stuck with that. But then like their powers just didn't have any rhyme or reason of what they could do.
Powers are all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a rant?
Yeah, and you might disagree with me on this one, but before the witches came in and we were focused just on the kids, specifically Max and Danny, I had a lot to be desired there as far as like their relationship building. I did not believe.
Strong agree.
Yeah, I did not believe their relationship as brother and sister. I mean, we got the relationship of like, hey, brothers and sisters fight, right? So we'll just have them fight all the time. And it's okay.
Stay out of my room. I gotta play this drum solo that they taught me like exactly the same way that they showed me 10 minutes before we started. I've been practicing this drum solo for like the last 6 months before we were gonna start filming. Like,
you nailed it.
Get out of my room.
You nailed it. and I don't know, maybe that didn't improve. It was just put up against these outlandish witch sisters, and so then it felt more real. But when it was just that for like the first however many minutes of the movie,
I imagine the problem with that was I don't think they shot this movie in continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like certainly working with young actors at times, I think there's like a camaraderie of like building the world and like living in those characters. So I imagine they all probably had a pretty good time making this movie.
Yeah. This looks like a good
like
time.
how do you like someone that you actually do really get along with? How do you sell
fake
that
it? Yeah.
at such a young age
Yeah.
with such little experience? I think this is like everybody in the cast's first real role, like the kids, like their first real project. They've done some other stuff, but like really young, like on screen babies basically, and like just like stand in, don't say anything, and look cute.
And I had to bring it up, but again, you know, I gave this very high score. I gave this 93. It didn't ruin the movie for me. It just took me out at times.
I
like
agree,
you said,
because
with that drum part, like it's like I'm watching like a commercial from the 90s of like, don't you just hate it when your mom comes in your room?
Yeah.
Let's get some fruit by the foot. Oh yeah.
Lunchables and Dunkaroos.
We got some milk. We got some purple stuff. Oh, Sunny D. Yeah. Like those commercials. It was that level of
Sunny Delight.
Kid acting at the beginning.
It really was. And I'll say though, later in the film, like they do have this like heart-to-heart moment and they do sell it. Like there's that scene after they think they've won where they all go back to the house. That felt very real.
And by the time he ends up, you know, doing the big sacrifice play.
Yeah, that all feels very
like, okay. Okay. I believe now more that you love each other than I believe that you hated each other at the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah. So the fact that should have been a reshoot.
Yeah.
They should have really worked with them on that.
Yeah.
If it would have been
not
a longer shoot and a bigger budget, I think they would have fixed that.
I'm looking for things because I really did have some.
I know, right?
Although my other two are legit. My other two are.
I have two legit ones as well. Here's my looking for something.
Okay.
The sisters don't know what a paved road, like they don't understand what a road is, but they then put on a Vegas show.
Yes.
Complete with choreographed moves and backup singing into microphones.
Yep. They get right into that immediately.
Come on, guys.
Yes, there is a big disconnect. I loved the times where it was, you know, you're fish out of water, you're in the wrong time. I love those scenes.
Like the fire department shows up and they fucking lose their minds.
Yes,
it's perfect.
And but then it's the inconsistency with like, okay, we're at the town hall. This happened to us here just like 2 hours ago,
and this all happens in the span of like
a night. It's all a night,
7 o'clock to 5 a.m.
Yeah, and
7 p.m. to like there, 5 a.m.
And she's like, oh, I immediately.
Thanks for the introduction, Max.
I immediately understand what's going on. I know what an introduction is. I know where center stage is,
and we have these choreographed moves to do on stage together.
Yeah. Big suspense of disbelief.
Yeah.
You almost wish that scene had happened after the Kiln scene, because then I would at least give the benefit of the doubt, like,
they've mingled.
Yeah, or they like mingled with that like tape deck that burned up with them, and now they understand music or something like that. You know, like I would give them that, but it doesn't. It happens.
It doesn't jive.
Happens before that. But that whole scene is why we're keeping this party keep going.
Here's another tune from Kenny G. "Forever in Love."
Forever.
1993. Not a lot of gold to pull through.
Better movies than music that year, I think.
I feel like the Gin Blossoms came out that year though.
Yeah.
But they're not on the top. They're not in the top 100. Oh, they are in the top 100. They're just not number 95. I didn't get there yet.
Well, we can play them.
Hey, Jealousy coming up next. The Gin Blossoms.
We're in charge of this. They apparently did not hear anything about our Hawkins debacle.
Number 1. Oh man, I can't wait to spin 2 steps behind Def Leppard. Number 100.
Oh boy,
it's a deep cut.
Very good. Is it my rant?
It is your rant.
Okay. This was just a moment in the movie that made me feel very uncomfortable, and I don't think it was supposed to make me feel very uncomfortable.
Okay.
And I'm going to preface it by saying I really liked what they did with the relationship between Danny and Binks. Okay.
Okay.
Like, Danny is missing her brother because like she's lost her brother to like puberty basically, and like moving, and like he's shut her out. And then Binks obviously has lost his little sister because she's a stone cold corpse, right? So they're both in this Halloween story. They're kind of fulfilling that role for each other, and it just so happens he's a cat, but like it's still the brother sister relationship that like each of them need. And I really liked that. I thought that was like really poetic and good on the movie. But then like the last thing is like that real creepy in like, the ear, like I'll always be with you, Danny. And I don't know, it just made me feel very uncomfortable, and it just felt like completely like out of character for anything that had been established thus far into their relationship.
Sean Murray should have had to register as a straight up sex offender.
Yeah, I mean,
after that, like it was creep-tastic.
Yes. Like
it was so creepy.
I get what they were going for, like a very touching moment, but I was getting like a different kind of touching moment vibe from it. And I was like, ooh, this relationship was so great right up until
they have that I'm gonna take care of you, and my kids are gonna take care of you.
Oh, it was their kids are gonna take care of you, and Binks actually dies. Dies. Oh, that's rough.
It is.
And
especially after you establish that he's indestructible.
And Danny has this thing where basically she's admitting her own mortality. Right. And is like, after I'm dead, by the way, I'm like in 4th grade, but I'm already talking about me being dead. Then my kids will. And then when they're dead, their kids will take care of you. Yep. And you're like, hey, Binks, you know what? Things are going to be okay for you.
Things are going to be okay.
I like this. But, I still like that the movie killed him. It because he got the closure he needed at the end.
He got closure.
And so then we did too, but the way they parted.
Not good.
Not so good there. No. I felt icky. Do you have a rant?
I do. This is a okay. This is should I do my serious rants or should I do my last throwaway rant?
Oh, whatever. I only have one other rant, so.
Okay, I have two, so I'll do a serious rant here. And it started as a big question, but then as I thought about it, it turned into a rant.
Okay.
How the fuck did they mistake Gary Marshall for Satan? The universe posits that Satan gave Winifred Sanderson the book.
Yeah.
They also presumably went to hell, according to Winifred, after they died, because Billy says, go to hell. And she replies, been there, enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how the fuck did they mistake Gary Marshall for Satan?
I don't have much of an answer for you. I mean, I'll take a stab at it and say that, no, I don't even like my answer of like, they're coming to terms with all this culture shock and they just think that this is hell now. But it's weak. It was done for a gag. It was done to get those two in the movie.
And they're great, and I love that they're in the movie.
Yeah, and it was like a fun little scene, but you can't think about it that much, because if you're professionals like we are who talk about cartoons and children's movies on the internet, like you're really gonna stop and think about these things. And it doesn't add up.
It doesn't.
It doesn't add up with their established world and their established history. It just doesn't. Because they're into some gruesome shit, these sisters. And then they
are cannibals.
And then they see this Satan and they're like, yeah, that's him.
They are cannibals. Mary at one point says Shishka baby.
Yeah.
When they come back to life.
And they're eating children, guys.
They are eating the children. They are sucking the life out of children and then eating the bodies.
They are
to hide the evidence.
They are 100% eating children, which is true to all of these fairy tales that we've grown up with. But this is what witches do, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, I'll once again say, in actual Salem, those people were not eating children. So just in actual Salem history.
No, they were not eating.
So once again, we're diverging.
Right.
Diverging. Yeah.
All innocent.
Okay, here's the thing that bothered me, and it's one of those rants where I'm like, ooh, you established something and I really needed closure on this, and you never gave me closure, and I'm really upset about it.
Okay.
And this is 100% legit. I am not joking here. There is that scene, it's actually right, it's the scene that you're talking about with Hell, where they go to meet the devil. But they go to meet the devil, and they leave their brooms outside.
Right.
And these 3 little girls pick up the brooms, and they're dressed as the witches. And I love that little
Sanderson,
touch. That's
yes.
a great touch. And then I don't get a goddamn scene of those little girls on brooms
flying across the brooms.
In the movie like that. Just give me that pan away with the little girls like, oh my gosh, and they're flying. Give me something. Oh, it was such a setup that I was so giddily excited to
Chekhov's broomstick.
Yeah, and it just
nothing
went away, and that that left a void in me.
Okay, so this again connected to the same scene. This is my serious rant. What are the rules of flight? Mm-hmm. Do the witches have the power of flight, or do the broomsticks have the power of flight? Yeah, because later in the film, yeah, they get on like a modern broom, mm-hmm, a mop, yep, and a vacuum cleaner.
Yep.
So like, how does this is my other serious rant? Like, what are the rules of flight? Is flight imbued into the broom, the object, or is it imbued into, like, is it a power of the witch?
And my belief in all of my expertise in the Wiccan is that the item is enchanted with some sort of spell.
Right.
And then that is what has flight. So the sisters themselves
should not have been able to fly at the end of the movie.
Yeah, can't fly themselves. It's just their devices. They're cleaning, they're cleaning apparatuses. Does it always have to be a cleaning apparatus? Like, could they get on anything?
This world posits that it had to be a cleaning apparatus.
This world is like, oh.
Could you do a dustpan and brush and put them under your feet?
Can you put Mary on a Roomba? I mean, I think that works just as, if not better.
In the sequel, they'll all be flying on Roombas.
I would love it. Just like
the mind of its own.
Just like Marty McFlying it, like all around Salem. I'm 100% on board with that.
And they just keep bumping into things.
Yeah. Like they can't control them because the Roombas have the little mind of their own. Guys, we're practically writing this for you. Are you writing it down? Come on, Disney Plus, get us in there, guys.
We will write this movie.
We have been nothing but kind to Disney. I do not understand why they're not calling us.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know what? Rant.
When I thought about in this movie earlier, when you were talking about the opening scene, is that I'm not used to a Disney movie where there's a lot of death in Disney movies, but it's always
first 10 minutes.
Yeah, but it's always the parents that die, and this is a Disney movie where the kids die and the parents are left behind. That doesn't happen a lot.
Doesn't
happened in this movie.
Did
only got like a 30 something on Rotten Tomatoes.
I longtime listeners, I did look up the Metacritic score. Metacritic was very kind.
Yeah, sorry, Metacritic.
Sorry we fucking buried you, but what's done is done.
We're bringing you back like Billy.
You were very kind. For this episode, we are bringing back the zombified remains of Metacritic. Gave Hocus Pocus 71.
Thanks, Metacritic. That's a tough sentence to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks.
Sorry we fucking buried you.
Yeah.
My final rant. How do Max and Allison not see a fucking like lighthouse beacon emanating from the book?
Mm-hmm.
Turning the widow's watch of the house into a lighthouse.
Yeah.
How did that not?
They're just tired. It's been a night.
That was too much. Like, obviously that effect was put in post.
Yeah.
That is some bad post work and editing.
Answer I can give you. Yeah. Is that, yeah.
It's bad. It's egregious.
They decided what was gonna hearken the sisters later, after all the actors had done their job. It was
so egregious. It is literally like a Legend of Korra spirit portal shaft of light.
Yeah, it's huge.
Into infinite space.
Mm-hmm.
How do you not react? No, they're awake. They're reading the book.
Oh, right. I
Binks,
thought they were
Binks
asleep
jumps
in each
on it
other's
to close
arms.
it.
Yeah.
No, this is after they wake up. She's like, I should go. He's all like, I wish you could stay. Let's help Thackeray. Let's help Binks. They start reading the book.
They're getting their Mac on.
Their Max on?
Yeah.
Because his name's Max?
Yeah. No, I get it. I
See
get
what
it.
I did there?
Yeah, that sounds like something he would have said to Allison.
Right?
Do you want to get your Max on? I got some Sunny D.
Oh, here's a rant. Who stores salt on the very top shelf in like the back of their cabinets?
Not me. I didn't know if that was just like maybe a Salem thing or something.
That was every time I watch this, I'm like, who the fuck stores the salt on the top shelf?
Come on, Hocus Pocus 2. You
I don't want to
fix that.
I don't want to eat the food in that house.
No. Yeah, and they just moved in.
That's what I mean.
A very deliberate choice. That didn't just like get pushed to the back.
No, that was
meals. That was a deliberate choice.
We're not going to need that.
Where should we put the salt?
Somewhere
out of reach.
Far away. Yeah,
out of reach and out of mind.
Oh, we're dangerously close to raving about this movie again. I do think they had one of the best dad jokes ever in a movie, where he calls himself Count Dadcula.
Oh yeah,
that was fantastic. That's a good one. It's a great dad joke.
Yeah. And you, I mean, your last couple of rants here have been dangerously close to big questions. Should we just get into big questions?
I think that we should.
All right, let's do some big questions.
Okay. Do you want to start or should I start?
I got 3.
I've got 4. I'll start.
You better take them.
Okay.
Jeez, and like 3 of your rants were big questions too.
They were.
Questionable fella.
Okay. Here we go. The widow's watch to the Dennison house explodes.
Yeah, it does.
How do you think they explain that to their insurance company?
Salem, Hellmouth. It's just what happens here, guys.
They can't say witches.
No, they can't say witches did it.
Exploded the widow's watch.
Yeah. Which is another thing about this movie is that,
like it straight up like Ghostbusters 55 Central Park West blows Max's room to pieces.
Oh yeah, it's the big explosion money shot basically until all the witches' Death Star at the end.
Right.
But yeah, and you bring up a question that's almost a rant, but not really a rant. But these witches, the Sanderson sisters, as we've established, are straight up horrible people who have murdered children, possibly dabbled in magic. We know they have,
right.
But to the townsfolk, possibly dabbled in magic. And no one really believes in it anymore.
Nope.
And I get that we in our reality don't believe in it, but that's because we don't have any proof of that. We see that all as folklore, whereas we have hard evidence in this Salem.
First 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. And everyone's like, witches. Witch, please. They're all saying. But yeah, I mean, how do you explain that away? I don't know. I mean, they do make the joke of, no earthquakes here and stuff like that. But
right,
you could make some sort of natural claim, I suppose. But I don't think they're going to be covered for it.
I don't either.
Plus, that looked like a historic house. The premiums must have been
There
high.
is there is an antique painting of the house on the wall in the house.
Mm-hmm. That is a surefire sign that you have an older house.
Right.
Guys, if you're just joining us so far, we've talked about pogs and historic architecture of quaint New England towns.
Construction of early 20th century kilns.
NCIS.
Or mid-century kilns.
And
NCIS. The acting career of Sean Murray.
We're changing the name of the podcast to Early to Bed with Shades and Sketch. All right. I got a big question for you.
Okay.
Do you think that Max was trying to be real sly and smooth when he asked Allison if she wanted to light the black flame candle, was he wink, wink saying, what's your sexual history? Without letting Danny know?
Yep.
Because
100%.
Danny, again, with the non-believability between brother and sister, so casual with the information that Max is a virgin.
Yes.
She cannot bring it up enough that Max is still a virgin.
There is a lot, like, this is an interesting, I know we're in big questions. Maybe we should, I don't know when the right time would have talked about this, but there's like it seems like there's a lot of virgin shaming in this movie.
Yeah.
But then like at the end, they kind of flip it on its head. And it's just like, I don't remember 1993 well enough. I guess it was a more conservative time.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were trying to say with this narrative in the movie, but yes, I 100% agree that was a low key way to be like, well, here, you light it.
Yeah, just to see how she answers.
And
she believes in this.
She does believe in it.
Yeah, she's a believer. So she's not going to say, no, it's still silly. Like, she believes.
Right.
And so she says, no.
Yep. You
got your answer, Max. And then you got Danny over there being like, virgin alert. He's a big virgin. Why doesn't he light it? Because he's a virgin. How do you know this, Danny? I'm in his closet all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. And that bus driver is so fucking horny.
Yes. Oh my god. I wrote down the line. What is a bus? Something to take you to whatever it is you desire. Bette Midler says, we desire children, and his reply is
great reply.
It may take me a few tries, but I don't think that'll be a problem.
Yeah, he is down to clown around. That bus is going to Pound Town.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Kids movie. I would imagine.
Is it?
Well, I would imagine that one went over some kids' heads.
I imagine also.
Yeah.
But like, whoa.
Yeah.
There are some like subtleties to this movie.
Yeah. But you know what I like that Sarah is obviously meant to be the sexy witch, because all three of them really personify like the different types of witch that you can have.
Yes.
You know, like the sexy witch, and you got like the mad powerful witch.
Right.
And you have kind of like the kindly old woman, like who like bake you a pie witch. You got all three of them. But they don't play heavy into Sarah's sexy witch. They play way more into her. She's dumb as a brick.
Right.
And she was awesome at that. Like, she was so good at just being so dumb.
Strong agree.
And I loved that. So that's why when I found out that her father was the town idiot, I was like, oh, perfect. Yeah, they got it. They captured it. All right. That was mine. So now it's yours.
That was. Are the three kids that steal the sisters' brooms the OG students of Hogwarts? Is this a Harry Potter prequel?
Oh.
I know we're not supposed to like Harry Potter anymore. J.K. Rowling has not down with her current works, let's say.
Can we really not like that old work?
It's problematic. I think when you go back and look at some of it, but is this a Harry Potter prequel?
Oh yeah, I think it totally could be. With Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Part 3, Hocus Pocus. Yeah. I mean, I'm on board. Yeah, I'm glad you picked up on those kids too. What an unanswered. What
happened to those kids?
Yeah, those kids are dead.
I feel like that's the rub. Like they got on because they fly away.
Yeah.
They don't know how to control those fucking things. They've never played Quidditch.
Those are underage kids on
unregistered
flying brooms.
One of them flew into the engine of an airplane. Another wound up in the side of a building.
Yep.
One of them just kept like flying up until they
she starved to death up there.
Froze to death.
Yep.
Those kids are dead.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pre 9/11 world, so they died that way. I mean, if this was post 9/11, they would have been shot down. I mean, immediately. As soon as they were getting over Logan.
Oh,
guy's not on the East Coast. That's the Boston airport. That's not Wolverine.
Right.
He's not shooting anyone down.
He's not. No.
But yeah. Oh yeah. Land to air missiles, just boom, 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 and happy Halloween.
Yeah. Bing bang boom. Bob's your uncle.
Candy sprinkling down. Other kids they're holding out their little pails, catching all of the I got a Snickers.
Fake blood.
I got a finger. Ah. You know, happy Halloween. Okay.
Oh, there's that scene where they're like throwing dead man's toes at each other.
Yeah. They have a lot of fun with that.
They have a lot of fun.
Yeah, they have fun in that house.
They do.
There's
So
a lot. There's
family,
a lot of laughter in that house of children murder. Yeah. Okay. Here's a big question for you, and it has to do with Billy, who I loved. I loved the Billy character.
Billy.
But why does Billy obey blindly the sisters up until he is able to cut open his mouth, and then that's where he is like, nope, not gonna do it anymore?
I think he was trying to team up with them the whole time.
Oh, he was chasing them to be on their side, and it was that classic misunderstood monster.
Yeah, because he couldn't talk. Because like when she says, "Billy, you bag of go do something," he like puts up his arms. He's like,
he's not happy about it. Yeah, no. He's certainly begrudging about
that
it.
effect when they cut the yarn open, like the visual, like the moths and air like fly out.
The moths were real moths.
Were they?
Yeah, it was in the behind the scenes little feature.
Oh.
I'm gonna send you the link to this little
Please
behind the
do.
scenes figure. It was.
Were they really real moths?
They put 3 real moths in his mouth in this little special like waterproof pocket.
You're blowing my mind.
And
right
he
now.
had
Seriously?
and another little packet of dust, and he basically had like, I mean, I guess they could have done it again, but he really had like one take to just be like, you better get this because otherwise the moths are going back in your mouth.
That is fucking mind blowing.
No, those are real
he
moths.
Also had to cut the.
Yep, I mean those could have been those could have been already like severed, you know, and all he was doing was like,
but he had to like break the things that are in his mouth, right?
Yeah, that really stuck out to me because in that little behind the scenes featurette, they talked to like, I swear to God, it was like, I don't know the guy's name. Let's just call him like Phil something, and they're like Phil something moth trainer, and they're talking to him, and I'm like, wow.
You're not shitting me.
I am 100% not shitting you. I will refine that little
blowing my mind that those are real moths. I was thinking like it was paper and he had to like blow them out. Oh my God.
No, this is back in the day where you could do that.
Doug Jones is a national fucking treasure. The man put moths in his mouth.
Mm-hmm. And coughed them up on cue. It was great.
Cue.
All right, well, I like your answer better, that he was always begrudgingly. My somewhat answer was that it was an allegory for finding your voice in a toxic relationship.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice lesson that, you know,
I like that.
Once you can find your voice, you can distance yourself from a abusive relationship partner. So,
yeah.
You know, or he had been trying to help the kids the whole time. Long-time listeners, take your pick.
Take your pick.
That's what makes this a big question, and it's not an answer.
Okay. Here's a real BQ here.
Okay.
How do the witches survive being burned alive in that kiln? Are they immortal for the whole night?
Yes, and I believe they established that. I believe they say that until the sunrise, they have until the sun rises to if they don't finish the ritual of drinking in the kid life force or whatever, they will turn to stone and die or blow up or whatever. But for the night, you know, they're basically unkillable. They're basically I won't say immortal because there's a timestamp on it, but they're indestructible until time runs out.
They are burned to cinder.
Oh, there's nothing left to them. Yeah. I mean, and they go up in the smoke, and the smoke has to come back in. They don't come above. They're not like corpses that come back.
But I also don't understand why they like had to come back into the kiln. Like the smoke dissipates and then it like reforms and goes right back to the kiln where they went up into a cinder.
Yeah, you know I think that was
Couldn't
unnecessary.
They have like materialized
that smoke could have materialized anywhere. I really think it could have. Okay. I honestly, that stunk to me of a shit. What do we do? Just reverse it. Just reverse the video of the smoke going out.
Yeah.
And we'll just reverse it, and the smoke will go in, and there you go. There they are.
Yeah, there they are.
And the witches definitely owe the school a new kiln because they busted the door.
Yeah, like, do they
She
have
kicks it
super?
down.
Do they have super strength now?
Maybe she zapped it because we know she has that.
Why didn't they just zap it the first time
They
and
probably
not
should
get
have just
burned?
done that. They probably, if they could do that,
right?
do it the first time.
That's my rant with the
Yeah.
inconsistency of their powers.
Yeah. I still say it's a great scene. All right, here's my biggest of BQs. This is my very biggest, and it stands out to me like a sore thumb. Okay. So let me set the scene for you. Let's just say for argument's sake that you are, I don't know, cursed to be an immortal cat. Right? You can't be killed.
Wait a minute.
You got that?
Got it. Okay.
Now, on top of that, you also have all of your previous memories and human intelligence.
Yes.
And you have a vendetta to make sure the Sanderson sisters never come back to life.
Gotcha.
You also know that you have to protect this candle and make sure no one ever lights it.
Yes.
Okay? Now, I don't think it's a secret here to say that cats are assholes and they destroy stuff all the time.
Cats are, in fact, assholes and do destroy things all the time.
So you got 300 years, you're immortal. Why don't you just destroy the candle?
Find a way to, or like take the candle and fucking like hide it in the sewer where you hide rats.
You can't be
why
killed.
Leave the
Eat a little bit of it every day. Binks, I mean, come on now. Come on now.
You've got 300 years to, in 300 years, you could eat a little bit of it every day.
And no one
would be scattered all over Salem.
It. We don't have a movie. We have the first 10 minutes of Binks and his sister dying. And then we have 20 minutes of Max striking out with Allison, and then credits roll, we go home. Just because that's the one thing I put on him. You had all the time in the world. You have an indestructible body.
He really does drop the ball.
He does, because he knows that that's the way they're coming back.
Yeah.
See, I really tried to find a way because I wanted to give him credit.
I mean the whole thing is Binks's fault.
Yeah.
He doesn't save his sister.
Here's the thing.
He does nothing to prevent the candle from being lit.
Give it to a non-virgin. Non-virgin lights it. You just have a candle.
When Max goes to light the candle, like, hey, I'm a talking cat.
I'm a talking cat. Yeah.
Don't fucking light the candle.
Yeah.
That's my first thought.
That's game over. Yeah, that's it.
Don't light that. Don't fucking light that candle.
Yeah. Or at least wait until you've had sex, then go ahead and light the candle.
Hey, kid, first, like, go get it on, then light the candle.
Yeah. I'll sit here. I'll watch it for you. Don't worry. I'll watch your sister and speak creepily into her ear. And then you come back and light the candle all you want. Yeah, that
so
almost was a rant, but I left it as a big question because I wanted there to be an answer. I'm not sure there is. Longtime listeners, if there's an answer I'm not thinking of as to why the cat couldn't destroy the candle. And I know that's a very strange thing to say if you're just tuning in now, but
if you're just tuning in now, how did you get to this point in the episode?
Yeah. Like, did you tune us in on an old radio, like an old-timey 1920s box in your basement? Anyway, that's my last big question. Yeah,
that was a great question. I have one, and it goes back to that scene with the they're hiding behind the restaurant with they have the idea to burn them in the kiln.
Yeah.
They're hiding out behind the restaurant. There's a guy that's dressed as a pirate. He like walks out of the door. He like reaches in and grabs the lobster. He's like, "Oh, Angelo, you're the lucky guy tonight." Like, what is that a reference to? I feel like I've seen that in like Animaniacs cartoons and like other things.
Specific. I agree with you. It felt like a reference.
I feel like I've seen it before.
Beyond our age bracket. Like it really felt to me like.
Is it Lady and the Tramp? Like the anime is the cartoon? I feel like I've seen that exact setup in like an Animaniacs cartoon.
It's very possible. It felt to me reminiscent. I felt like I should have known what it was. It was way too specific of a setup to just be coincidence.
And I think this every single time I watch the movie. I don't know what it's from. Longtime listeners, if you know what they're referencing, please write into the show. Go with shadesandsketch@gmail.com.
Shades is losing sleep over this.
I really am. I have to know. I am very close to having a complete and utter breakdown over this.
Yeah.
You can also tweet @GoForShades.
Yeah, and just put his mind at ease here.
Please.
Release him into the afterlife. Like,
please, yes.
Like poor little Binks.
Let me creepily whisper into my wife's ear that I'll always be with her and walk into the afterlife.
Yeah, and she'll be like, "Oh, this is for the best. Bye."
But yeah, it's all worked out.
Yeah, honestly, after he vanished with his sister, Danny should have been like, "Whoa, dodged a bullet." You bring up the pizza guy though. Reminded me of another part of the movie that I did really like. I like when they go to the cop and are like explaining everything to the cop, and the cop is like, "Kids, get out of here." My first reaction, even though I've seen this movie before, I was like, "Man, what a dick! He needs to take something seriously." And then the prostitute comes out, and you find out they're just on a date, and it's a cop prostitute double date or a date.
They're both in costumes.
Yeah. They're going to a party. I'm like, that's a good little gag there. I like that.
It is. But I mean, like, he was dangerously close to impersonating a police officer.
Oh yeah. If any of those children had been an undercover police officer,
he would have been screwed.
He would have been in trouble.
Yeah, in jail.
Yeah.
Sketch, I'm fresh out of big questions. I did just want to mention that the on-screen animatronic cat that plays Binks is the same cat that was in the Melissa Joan Hart Sabrina the Teenage Witch Salem.
Oh, Salem.
It is the same animatronic cat.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That cat.
I thought so.
That cat is just nailed down all of those witch jobs. Really.
Yes, that is the hardest.
A witch's cat in the early 90s.
That was the cat.
There was one number to call.
That was the hardest working animatronic cat in Hollywood.
I wonder maybe he knew the moth trainer and that was his in.
Maybe.
To the movie. Yeah.
Maybe.
Could you imagine having that as a job?
I can't imagine that was a thing.
He had to have other animals. Like there had to have been other animals he was in charge. He can't just have. I'm just picturing Killer Moth from Teen Titans.
Right.
Like in his basement.
Yeah.
And he gets like one lone phone call on this like old Batman style moth phone he has set up, and it's like, oh, my big break. And here you go. How long has it been? Almost 30 years? No.
For what?
Since Hocus Pocus came out.
1993.
Yeah. Oh God, we're getting up there.
Yeah.
But here it is. It's all worth it, Moth Trainer. We're talking about you here.
You're ready to go. You're going to be in the sequel.
Yep. I think we did Hocus Pocus justice.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to add, that when they first arrive to Allison's house, and Danny like dives and buries her head in like the pumpkin display.
Yeah.
Every single one of those pumpkins are from like the carving kit that came out in 1993.
Oh, nice.
I have that kit. Do you remember in either our sophomore or junior year, I won a pumpkin carving contest?
Oh yeah,
and we all ate off of it for years.
You poke the holes into.
Yeah, that's the kit I used, and it was that Grim Reaper that's in the background.
There you
go. And we all, I think like 5 of us ate off of my winnings.
Yeah, no, I remember your award was. I don't think they would give that out anymore.
I don't think they would.
That was legit one hell of an award.
It was
for a pumpkin carving contest.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous, like 300 points to use at the cafe.
Yeah. Like not
I remember,
the main cafe, the specialty cafe on our campus.
The specialty cafe. I remember at the end of the semester, like I still had so many points left.
Oh yeah, we were just buying.
We just bought
ice creams and everything.
And yeah, I didn't know I was lactose intolerant then. I ate a lot of ice cream.
Yep. Only you could have used them for Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah. Who knew?
Really get you.
Yeah. But it was that kit. I still have that kit. I still I've made photocopies of the kits so I can like continue to use it forever.
Perfect. Hey, it worked for Hocus Pocus.
It did.
Worked for you in college.
Still working now.
It's paid itself off 2 times over.
It has.
Well, I guess that brings us to
Shades and Sketch recommendations.
Sketch, what are you going to recommend?
I got a Halloween recommendation for all you spooky guys and ghouls out
Hit me
there.
with it.
So I am going to recommend The House That Dripped Chocolate.
Okay, I'm unfamiliar with that.
That is the new Good Eats Halloween special that came out this year. A 1 hour long deep dive into candy making with Alton Brown, set to the very good story of a young, I guess he's not so young anymore, but just a home cook who stumbles across the cursed cookbook of an estranged candy maker. And as he creates more delicious confections, the curse intensifies and the tricks become even more dangerous. And so it's kind of like a fun little Halloween short story, tied with the normal culinary science you'd expect from Alton Brown. And he teaches you how to make two brand name candies that he cannot say the brand name of, but you figure it out in the episode. And it's just like, it was a really good Halloween special. It really he did a really nice job of copying the style of like a nice little Halloween short story. So
fantastic.
And I'm pretty sure you can watch the whole thing on YouTube. Like
wow.
I'm pretty sure it's just out there. So I recommend the Good Eats 2020 Halloween special, The House That Dripped Chocolate.
I'm going to go watch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your big rec?
I am going to recommend QB Halloween, the new Adam Sandler movie on Netflix. It was fantastic. I laughed. It was it's great. It looks great. It's funny. It has a great cast. Maya Rudolph makes an appearance. Tim Meadows.
A lot of SNL alums.
It's just like stacked with SNL alums. Buscemi is in it.
Oh wow, nice.
Who else?
So this is live action.
Rob Schneider. It's live action. It's not animated. It's just a fun time. And Adam Sandler has perfected the craft of playing like the lovable loser, the person who would never seemingly contribute anything to society, that is bullied and you know, you could make the argument that it's time for him to retire doing these things, but and whether it's appropriate for him to like play these characters anymore. But it's just like a sweet message. It's a fun movie. It is fun and scary. It's like a perfect spiritual successor to Hocus Pocus. It's got your cameos. It's got your jeopardy, your suspense. It's comedic. The whole family can watch it. I thought it was really well executed.
Consider me peaked.
I think you'll enjoy it.
This is Netflix?
It's on Netflix. QB Halloween.
All right.
I think it's like the number one thing on Netflix. Still.
It probably is. I mean, it's the perfect time.
It is. And that's a case of good strategy.
And guys, what are you going to do this year? I mean, come on. It's the year to watch and listen things.
Well, I mean, I will say, and I hope that you will help the New York Preservation Society. Head over to their website and partake in search of the Sanderson sisters, the live Halloween one night only event. You can get your ticket for $10 and be a part of it and help out New York Preservation Society, and enjoy the Sanderson sisters
and all their glory
and Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I fucking love Elvira. Are you a fan?
I wouldn't call myself a fan. I'm not anti.
Do you remember being a kid and like all the cutouts coming out every year, and she would always host?
Oh yeah,
the marathon.
Oh yeah, I mean, very recognizable. I mean, yeah.
I love her whole story. Like, if you're not familiar, Elvira is a character that actress has played for, I guess, 40
Long time. I mean, I was a kid.
45 years. Oh, and she was doing before.
No, I know.
We were kids.
I
So
know.
think
She was
45
I meant
years.
to say she was a well-established character
Right.
when I first met her as a child.
I remember meeting her at the old Spooky World.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like the nicest person.
She's made a lot of cameos and stuff.
Yes.
You've
She's been in
probably seen her
everything.
somewhere.
She had her own movie vehicle that she starred in. But it's from a Vegas showgirl to a household name.
There you go.
And I love that they have. I feel like she and Bette Midler are probably pretty tight, like that they travel in similar circles.
Yeah.
Very.
And she's bringing
people.
back the Sanderson sisters. So.
And she's bringing back the Sanderson sisters, and I hope you will experience it this Halloween. And be safe, be masked, be socially distanced, and be in the spirit of Halloween.
Ooh, good pun.
Thank you.
Spirit of Halloween. Shades, are you going to take anything with you from Hocus Pocus?
I am glad you asked, Sketch.
I'm trying to think what vehicle you.
I am going to take this 1993 Ford Explorer.
Who had the Explorer?
That's what they tricked the Sanderson sisters with.
Oh, into the daylight savings time.
Into the daylight savings time.
Yeah.
It's a rugged, robust vehicle.
Yeah.
It held up in Jurassic Park.
Sure did.
It held up here, and I think it deserves a spot of honor in the GoCo garage.
Absolutely. All right. Fantastic.
Sketch, are you going to take anything?
Oh yeah, I'm taking two things.
Okay.
Mainly just to keep them out of trouble, really.
Okay.
I am going to take the spell book that is, bound in human skin.
In retrospect,
it's bound in human skin.
In retrospect,
also has an eyeball, which I imagine is a human eyeball.
I imagine it's a human eye.
And I'm also going to bring what's left of the black flame candle, because no risk of me lighting it. I have Doodle, cat's out of the bag on that one,
right?
So and that one has been made from the fat of a hanged man. Guys, these are gruesome things in this kids movie, and I'm taking them really for everyone's own good.
Thanks, Sketch. In retrospect,
but you still your Explorer.
I stand by my choice to take the Ford Explorer.
Yeah, I was only joking about the vehicle, but you found one. Good on you for finding one. Yeah, 93 is a big year for the Ford Explorer.
It was.
Yep. So I guess with that, happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween. We're so glad you
again.
Yes. And
we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Spooky. If you'd like to take a more active role in supporting Geeking Out, visit us at patreon.com/shadesansketch.
Our website is shows.acast.com/geekingout.
You can email the show at gowithshadesansketch@gmail.com or contact us through Facebook or Twitter.
Geeking Out is a production of Tree Cave Creative, LLC. All rights reserved, 2020.